Such a beautiful day in London, and I want to utilize this opportunity to talk to you guys about a camera that I found it extremely difficult to review, and that is the brand new Sigma BF. So after I met Sigma at the photography show earlier this year, I have expressed my interest in trying out the Sigma BF. And to be quite honest, first impression was very, very positive. The build quality, the simple interface, and the design is just simply stunning. But now I have it for a while, used it for a bit, and I have a very confused conclusion about the BF. I like it. Spoiler alert, I loved it even. But will I buy it? I'm not just so sure. Look at this beautiful spot right here, facing the London Eye with the sun just right behind it, looking at this beautiful Sigma BF. I mean, I can't be more happy than that, right? And I really want to get one of these cameras for my collection, which I come to that later in this video. But as a review, I want to talk a little bit about how I found about the performance side of it and why or whether you should be getting one of these cameras as well. So first, let's talk a little bit about the negatives of the BF. Right, it is a very futuristic camera, and perhaps too futuristic for most photographers. As you know that for old school people like myself who like to use EVF in bright sunny day like today, the BF lacks that. It hasn't got any EVFs, so everything has to go through the back screen. And sometimes, even though that it has a very high quality back screen, I find it quite difficult to see in bright day like this. So that is perhaps one of the major downsides of this particular camera here. Well, again, for those old school photographers who like to use speed lights or all kinds of remote trigger system, well, you can practically forget about it because there's nothing for you to mount any accessories on top of the camera. So I just feel that, you know, like this cannot be a professional tool, even though it has a very, very capable sensor. So the third thing is, well, the BF has internal storage. Pretty fast one too. However, once again, for old school photographer like me, as a professional photographer, I would like to have some removable storage media. The reason is that because I could never trust just one source of storage, especially a huge one, which this one has. For me, as a photographer who works in professional field, and this is not the ideal solution. I would like to have backups. I would like to take out the memory card and back it all up and put it back again, and have several different cards to rotate through them, so I can minimize the wear and tear of the system and everything else like that. So for me, the BF lacks that sort of security or safety net that I always wanted to have. So the fourth and final thing, it has to be the lack of port. Well, first of all, I like minimalistic design. I like simplicity because today's cameras are just way too complicated. But, and I just think that the Sigma has taken that step a little bit too far. Well, single port is just not really useful for me, at least, especially when they touted this port is multi-purpose. You can use for external storage, for charging, for powering it, for external audio solutions, because this USB-C port is multi-purpose, so which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, it's really good. But what if I want to plug in a couple of things at the same time? I can't do that without a hub. So that is not really great. Having an additional USB-C port will solve the problem. So maybe the next BF will have dual ports. So that will be probably, to me at least, better solution. With all the negatives out of the way, let's get onto the brilliance of the Sigma BF and why I would like to have one in my collection. So start up with the design. Well, this has to be one of the best looking cameras I have ever seen. I'm not going to draw a direct comparison to my beloved OM System OM3 or the Nikon ZF. Those are retro styling cameras, and this is the direct opposite. The futuristic looking camera. It's crafted with a single block of aluminium. It's a very low production camera. According to Sigma, they can only produce 7 units a day. And that is a very, very low number. And that reminds me a little bit of the Leica TL way back. It's also crafted from a single block of aluminium, very similarly constructed. Actually, very similarly looking as well. But I would say the Sigma BF still a little bit cleaner, a little bit better looking compared to the TL. Second, it has to be the performance of the Sigma BF. Despite all the negatives I said earlier, this actually has a very capable and very, very fast sensor. Resolution aside, and that's another debatable subject for another day, it is plenty for me. But in terms of general performance-wise, I didn't see any rolling shutter, for instance, when I was doing video, and also panning around just normally in photography mode. Everything works as it should, and is even, to my surprise, faster than the Nikon ZF. Autofocus is brilliant as well, very fast single point focus, and even continuous focus, it seems to track subject very, very well. And what I can say is that, despite all the surrounding comments about this camera is not really for photographers, and I actually do think, in the right hands, this can be a very useful tool. So third, it has to be the very nice and simple interface. Well, it's brilliant, to be honest. People have been complaining about modern digital camera being overcomplicated. The menu system is just too many layers, too many options. This is just great. Very simple to use, big icons, simplified menus. There's only so many things you can select. There's no computational photography features, nothing really, but I would say, well, it's good if you're a photographer, because all you ever need is to control the exposure triangle, the ISO setting, the shutter speed, and the aperture, right? So now, let's talk about one particular thing that I think is kind of in between good and bad, and that's the IBIS. So this Sigma BF doesn't have any image stabilization whatsoever, right? So is it a bad thing? Well, to some people, perhaps. But for the purist, probably not. But for video people who want to use this Sigma BF as a video tool, probably not, because you do need IBIS for handheld shots and things like that. It does have electronic stabilization, but I just think it's just bad. It's just not good at all, especially when you're using a slightly longer focal length. Even a standard 50mm is gonna be a little bit of a trouble for you. So I just don't think this camera is for those who are shooting hybrid, for instance, because the electronic stabilization is just not great. If you want to do something like that, you probably have to put it on a gimbal, for instance, or on a tripod. But for photographers, I would say the lack of IBIS isn't a deal breaker for me, especially for this type of cameras, because image stabilization is definitely good if you want to do some long exposure handheld shot, like a 2 or 3 second shots on a wider angle, or especially for tele lenses. But like I said earlier, this camera is not aiming for people who want to use long and big tele zoom lenses, not for that. So image stabilization really isn't a problem as such. So to me, I would say that the lack of IBIS isn't really a bad or good thing. It's just really depending on your use case. For my use, if I'm going to use the Sigma BF as a street photography camera, I don't think it's going to be a problem for me at all. So yeah, I'll call it a draw. Speaking of video, the Sigma BF does have video features, but it's very limited. It's not for the serious content creators or filmmakers or video guys out there. It's just for casual stuff, perhaps. It does shoot 4K, but maximum at 30p. There's no open gate. There's no 5.7K, 8K, or whatever. There's none of those. It does shoot 4HD, but I think everybody's shooting 4K these days. So I would say for journalists, for some holiday snaps here and there, this is absolutely fine, but just not for those who are, a little bit more enthusiastic. So now we're reaching the end of the video, and what's my verdict on the Sigma BF? And like I said at the beginning of the video, this is probably one of the most difficult reviews I've done since I started the channel. Because personally, I love the BF. I really do. I love it to be different. I love it just being beautiful. I love it because it can take pictures. It can take good pictures, even. But from a standard review point of view, it's lacking a lot of stuff. It has no IBIS, it's got no EVF, it's got no external storage, it's got no, additional ports for me to plug other things in. I don't know, it's quite complicated. So for those working pros or want to buy this as their main camera, for instance, it's going to be a hard sell. But for those who like to collect cameras, for those that really have a working camera, for instance, this could be a good purchase because, to me, ultimately, with the amount of cameras they can generate every day, like I said, 7 a day, this could be a very low production number camera, for anything really. That means in years, this could become a very valuable collection piece. So in that case, I just think that the Sigma BF is going to be a special camera. For those who already have another camera to shoot with on a daily basis as a professional, or just going out and about using different lenses, for instance, this could be a good second camera. And exactly what Sigma told me, be a luxury camera for those who can afford it, for those who want to collect something special and different. So I leave the verdict really down to you, whether it is suitable for your needs, whether it's going to be your camera, your type of camera, for the stuff that you do, or something that you like to collect. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do, give me a thumb, and also subscribe for further content that I will be published in the future. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you all very, very soon. Bye for now. Peace out. Welcome to the bonus sections, and I do genuinely like the BF for personal reasons. That I like to collect cameras, I like quirky cameras, and any sort of nice looking cameras, I just like to own one for my collection. Especially something that I would consider as to be a camera that with collection values. Right, things like certain Leica cameras, for instance, some of the low production cameras like the Epson RD1, for instance, something like that. And the BF will sit right amongst it, only because, like I said, I just don't know how many Sigma BF they're going to produce over time. I don't know how long they're going to produce for. And that means that this particular camera can be very limited in quantity. So I like to own one. I like to own something that, a little bit rare. So not many people have it. So is that going to be cool, right? So I really do want to have one of these. So maybe I will purchase at some point. So let's see. So tell me what you like about this, and whether you do like about the Sigma BF, and if you do, let me know down in the comment section below. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's not cheap, by the way. It's not cheap. The system's going to cost you over $2,000. To get the body is about $2,000, and then you have to add the lens on top as well. So it's going to be interesting. I shall see. So anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Keep shooting, especially days like this. You're going to want to waste it. Just go and shoot. It's going to have to play some of the BF before I return this to Sigma, sadly. But hopefully, I'll see it back when I buy one.